At the end of this lecture, all of you must be able to explain concepts of the bacterial vaccines, and you must be able to tell about how the bacterial vaccines are working by inducing the active immunity and passive immunity. And you must be able to differentiate between the active immunity and passive immunity. Concepts of the bacterial vaccine. Actually, before discussing about the different types of the vaccine, we must know what is actually vaccine. So vaccine is a medical preparation which provides the active acquired immunity to a particular infectious disease. So it is made specifically against some diseases. And effective vaccines change the immune system by promoting the development of antibodies which can quickly and effectively attack disease causing microorganisms when it enters the body, thereby preventing the disease development. And the administration of these vaccines in the body is called the vaccination. There are several bacterial diseases which can be prevented by using immunization, inducing either active immunity or passive immunity. Active immunity actually refers to the protection based on the formation of both antibodies and cell-mediated immunity after exposure either to the microbe itself without disease or to the antigens of the microbe in a vaccine. That antigen or that part of the microbe which is present in the vaccine. The active immunity provides slow onset but long-term protection, but it is not effective for days after exposure to the microbe. It takes time to produce its effect. How bacterial vaccines work. When bacterial vaccines are introduced in the body, immune system gets stimulated. First, innate arm will come in action, but it becomes unable to compete with this. So, as a result, there is the stimulation of the acquired or the adaptive immunity. And as the vaccines are given, the active immunity will actually come in action first. Either there is an artificial immunization like the vaccines, or there is a natural exposure to the infectious agent. Active immunity comes in action. So when we are giving bacterial vaccines, this is the artificial immunization, then active immunity will come in, will be stimulated and will show its activity. But if we are giving immunoglobulin, not vaccines, but immunoglobulin, which are the source of the passive immunity, so then what will happen? There will be no any response from the immune system, because immune system is not needed to produce the antibodies, because we are giving preformed antibodies. So what will happen? They will compete with the already present antigen, and that actually mostly these are giving. They are given in the to compete with the exotoxins which are produced by the different types of the bacteria. They inactivate the exotoxins, and these actually can be these antibodies can be natural maternal antibodies or artificial antibodies from other sources which are preformed antibodies which give by getting them from any other person or animal. Bacterial vaccines are composed of the different ingredients, like they can be formed by capsular polysaccharides, by inactivated protein exotoxins. At that time they are known as toxoids. They can be composed of killed bacteria or live attenuated bacteria. They can be formed by purified proteins isolated from bacteria. That is a part of the bacteria is used to form the vaccines. All these components by which the vaccines can be formed actually are able to induce the active immunity. As in the picture you can see, they are injected intramuscularly, but these vaccines can also be injected by the subcutaneous route. And here in the bottom you can see a picture in which you can see what is actually present in the vaccine. The vaccine may contain weakened or dead microbes. Weakened in case of live attenuated bacteria and dead in case of killed bacteria. vaccines which are composed of the capsular polysaccharide vaccines. Its examples include the vaccines against the Streptococcus pneumoniae. There are two versions of the vaccines which are present against the Streptococcus pneumoniae. One version contains the capsular polysaccharides of the 23 most prevalent serotypes. It is recommended for the person older than the 60 years of age and adult patients of any age who are having some chronic diseases like the diabetes and cirrhosis or the compromised spleen function, or they have got splenectomy. And the second version containing the capsular polysaccharide of the 13 pneumococcal serotypes coupled to a carrier protein, for example, diphtheria toxoid. Actually, this carrier protein is used to make it larger, because more larger the antigen, more will be the immune response. The two types of Neisseria meningococcal vaccines, they use the different immunogens. One type is containing capsular polysaccharide of the four important groups A, C, Y and W135, while the other type of the vaccine which provides the protection against the group B meningococci, it contains a protein called factor H binding protein. While in case of Haemophilus influenza vaccine, it contains a type B polysaccharides conjugated to the diphtheria toxoid or other carrier protein. Actually, to provoke or to stimulate immune system, we need a larger antigen. And in this case, we have to make the influenza vaccine a larger antigen. That's why it needs the conjugation with some other. Because a part of the Haemophilus or any pathogen which is taken to make the vaccine is not enough to stimulate the immune system, so we need to conjugate it with some other thing. So here we take the diphtheria toxoid mostly. One of the vaccines against the typhoid fever contains the capsular capsular polysaccharide of the Salmonella typhi, and this is actually virulent capsular polysaccharide which is responsible for causing the pathogenicity of the Salmonella typhi, and this vaccine should be given to the travelers who are going towards the areas which are endemic for the typhoid fever. Second type is the toxoid vaccines. Toxoid vaccines are actually the inactivated toxins whose toxicity has been suppressed either by chemicals or by heat treatment. Corynebacterium diphtheria and the Clostridium tetani are the two gram-positive bacteria which produces secrete the exotoxins, and these exotoxins are causing very dangerous diseases. We need toxoid to compete with them, and so we take their exotoxins and which are treated with the formalin, and completely they are inactivated. Only the immunogenicity is maintained. And the Clostridium tetani vaccine contains tetanus toxoid, is given to everyone both early in the life as well as later as boosters for protection against the tetanus. Bordetella pertussis vaccine contains pertussis toxoid but includes other proteins as well. Third type of the vaccine are composed of the purified protein vaccine. They are the Bordetella pertussis vaccines, which are of the two types. One is an acellular vaccine containing purified proteins, and the principal antigen in this acellular vaccine is inactivated pertussis toxin. That is, the pertussis toxoid is formed, and some other proteins such as the filamentous hemagglutinin and the pertectin are also required for the full protection. It is usually given in combination with the diphtheria and tetanus in the form of DTP or DTaP vaccines. Another vaccine is containing whole kill bacteria. Bacillus anthracis vaccine contains a protective antigen purified from the organisms. Fourth one is the live attenuated bacterial vaccines. Examples include the Bacillus calmette-guerin BCG vaccine given to compete against the tuberculosis. The vaccine against tuberculosis contains a live attenuated strain of the Mycobacterium bovis to stimulate the immune system, cell-mediated immunity. Then one of the vaccines against the typhoid fever contains the live attenuated Salmonella typhi, and this vaccine is mostly preferred to be given to the travelers while going to the areas where the typhoid is an endemic disease, and it can be given to the person who are living along with some patients of the typhoid. An oral live attenuated cholera vaccine is also available. Vaccine. Kill bacterial vaccine. Another Vibrio cholera vaccine contains a kill organism. One of the vaccine of the Vibrio cholerae has got the live attenuated type of the vaccine, while other is actually made by actually killing the organism. So vaccine will contain the kill organism. It is used in the many countries where the cholera is endemic. Yersinia pestis vaccine contains the kill organism. Likely, the vaccine against typhus contains kill Rickettsia organism and is used primarily to immunize members of the armed forces. The vaccine against Q fever contains again the kill Coxina barneti organism and is used to immunize those who are at the high risk for being exposed to the animal infected with the organisms. So they are not given to each and everybody, but they are used by targeting the person, individual who are actually at the high risk. This is a table containing the examples of the bacterium and the antigen used in the vaccines which have been made against them. For example, these are some which are in common usage. Bacterium diphtheria causing diphtheria, and a toxide is used against them, which is actually an inactivated exotoxin produced by the bacteria itself, and this is the antigen in the vaccine. The Clostridium tetani, in this case also, the toxide is the antigen, which is the inactivated toxin, whose actually toxicity has been reduced. Bordetella pertussis causing the whooping cough pertussis. It is actually having the two types of the vaccines, in which one is ACE purified protein, which is actually consisting of pertussis toxide. Along with it, there are also two other proteins, filamentous hemagglutinin and pertectin. Other is the vaccine which is containing kill organisms. Then the Haemophilus influenza causing the meningitis, mostly in the kids. It is actually treated by the vaccine which is containing capsulopolysaccharide conjugated to the carrier protein. Streptococcus pneumoniae, pneumonia. There are two vaccines against it. One is composed of the capsulopolysaccharides, and other one is by the capsulopolysaccharides conjugated to the carrier protein. Then the Neisseria meningitis, which is responsible for causing meningitis. There are also two types of the vaccine against it, capsulopolysaccharide and the capsulopolysaccharide conjugated to a carrier protein, factor H binding protein for group P meningococci. Another table which is also showing some vaccine containing the antigens. Actually, these are some special situations like Salmonella typhi vaccine, which are two types, and Vibrio cholera and Yersinia pestis, the pestis ancestors Mycobacterium bovis, Francisella chilorensis, Rickettsia, Kawasaki, Coxina barneti. All these are treated by the vaccines, and as they are producing very dangerous diseases like the typhoid, but salmonella typhi. So whenever any individual is going to an area which is actually endemic for the typhoid fever, they need vaccination. Either live organisms containing vaccine or the capsular polysaccharide containing vaccine. Vibrio cholera causing cholera, live organism in the United States, kill organism in the countries where the cholera is endemic. So live organism containing vaccine is used there in the US. Yersinia pestis causing plague. It is treated by the vaccine containing killed organism and the antigen. Bacillus anthracis causing anthrax, I have told you it contains partially purified proteins. And Mycobacterium bovis causing tuberculosis, it is actually, in this case, the live organism is the antigen. Live antigenated vaccine is formed. And the same thing is happening with the Francisella tularensis and the Rickettsia prowazekii and the Coxiella burnetii. Again here another table is there, but you can see it's consisting of the vaccines, viral as well as the bacterial vaccines, which are recommended for the children at the age of the 0 to 6 years. Bacterial vaccines include the diphtheria toxoid, tetanus toxoid, acellular pertussis in the form of the T-tape. They are given combinedly. And the Haemophilus influenza type B is also given as which is responsible for causing disease in the like the meningitis under the 6 years age. Kids, meningococcus vaccine only for the children with the high risk condition. This vaccine can also be given up to the age of the 11 years. Then the pneumococcal. This is also important and is given because to prevent the pneumonia in the children. The viral vaccines include the hepatitis A, hepatitis B, influenza virus vaccine, and the MMR, which is given combinedly for the measles, mumps, and rubella. Then the poliovirus inactivated toxin vaccine. Then the rotavirus and the varicella virus vaccine are given to the children under the 6 years age, up to the 6 years age. Now the passive immunity. We have discussed all the vaccines which are actually provoke immune system by the active immunity. Now the passive immunity or the passive immunization is the administration of the preformed antibodies in preparations called immunoglobulin, either intravenously or intramuscularly, and mostly they are used to provide the rapid protection in certain infections such as the diphtheria or the tetanus. Both are very dangerous bacteria and they cause dangerous diseases and they are which are deadly actually conditions, and here we need an immediate response that especially in the case of the hepatitis B, in the events of the extended exposure to the pathogens. In this case, mostly the doctors and the paramedics are getting pricked with the contaminated needle, and at that time they need the immediate protection, and so we give such type of the immunizations in those cases. Tetanus antitoxin is an important example of the passive immunization. It is used in the treatment of the tetanus and in its prevention prophylaxis. The antitoxin is made in the humans to avoid the hypersensitivity reactions. In addition to the antitoxin, these people should receive the tetanus toxoid, that is the passive and active immunization are given simultaneously. So it is an example of passive active immunity, but the toxoid antitoxin should be given at the different sites in the body to prevent the antitoxin from neutralizing the toxoid. Botulinum antitoxin and the diphtheria antitoxin are the other examples of the passive immunization. The botulinum antitoxin is used in the treatment of the botulism and diphtheria to treat the diphtheria antitoxin to treat the diphtheria. Both of these actually can neutralize the unbound toxins to prevent the disease from the progressing more. So they should be given actually promptly. The antitoxin is made in the horses, so hypersensitivity may be a problem in case of the diphtheria antitoxin. Fourth one is the basidiotoximab. It is a monoclonal antibody against exotoxin B of the Clostridium difficile. It is effective in preventing the lapses of the pseudomembranous colitis. Actually, it is a monoclonal antibody which is derived from a single cell in a laboratory in such a way that it can bind with the specific substances in the body. And as it is an antibody, so it is used to produce a large amount of the similar specific antibodies which should be used against the tumor cells and also against the Clostridium difficile to prevent the lapses of the tumor or the pseudomembranous colitis respectively. There are some certain differentiating point between the active immunity and the passive immunity. We have already discussed the active immunity and the passive immunity. So here we will get in some points which can differentiate both from each other. The active immunity is produced by body's own immune system in response to an antigen which is given in the form of the vaccine. So the immune system will will get stimulated and produce antibodies against these antigens. While in case of the passive immunity, this has a received passively by host, no involvement of the immune system. What is received passively? Antibodies. Preformed antibodies are actually introduced into the body, so there will be no stimulation of the immune system of the body, but the antibodies are already coming in the body and they will compete against the antigen. Then the negative phase in which the immunity is transiently lowered is only present in the active immunity, but in the case of passive immunity there is no anything like this. Latent period is again present in case of the active immunity from 4 days to 4 weeks. This is the period in which there will be hidden antibodies. There will be no actually detection of the antibodies will be there, because it can be because the antigen-antibody complexes are formed, or the antigens are actually in the number is of the antibodies as lower as that it cannot be detected by the different tests. While in the passive immunity there is no latent period. Secondary response is more enhanced in case of the active immunity because the memory cell had formed in the previous primary response. So now the secondary response will be very immediate and enhanced. While in case of the passive immunity, there is no immunological memory, so no any enhancement of the response. While the active immunity is long-lasting and more effective, while passive immunity is short-lasting, less. But we cannot say less effective. It is effective, but not for the longer period. So it will be effective. Immediate effect is good, but it's not for long. That's it. But it should be said that less effective. So sixth one, that the active immunity offers a better protection compared to the passive immunity, because passive immunity is for a short time period and will disappear after that period, while the active immunity can be lifelong. And active immunity cannot be applicable in immunodeficient individuals, while the passive immunity is applicable in immunodeficient individuals.